Introducing National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk programming that you can access 24/7. For the premier sports talk experience, tap into our Roku channel. Start your mornings with Mac and Jack covering all the weekend sports action. Then pour a cup and enjoy all the sports you can drink on the Coffee and Sports podcast. At midday, talk sports from east to west on the Coast to Coast podcast. Followed at night by some hot girl talk with Prim and Proper Sports featuring Sonia Pearson. Talk boxing on the Gloved Fist. Yankee fans tune in for Start Spreading the News. And there's more on the College Sports Huddle and Sports Scope with Robert Butler. There are 20 podcasts in all and 70 weekly shows giving us a 3.4-star viewer rating. To find us on Roku TV, search for National Streaming Sports on the Roku search bar. Click on the logo and you're in. National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk for America.
And hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dr. Sem Yankees Show. Today is Saturday, January 25th, 2025, the 25th in the 25th year. I'm still not home at my son's house. We're helping watch the beautiful baby twins. They just had their 8th month birthday, and there is no bigger joy, no better joy than this extended time we are having getting to watch our little baby grandchildren grow, and just the joy of being with them each and every day, watching them learn how to crawl and play with toys and smile. It's a gift, and it's been beautiful and it's wonderful. So, hey, I make every day a great day, but let's make today a great day. And how can you make the day great? Well, one way would be to appreciate all the goodness that's around you. Look around, notice it. Take a smile from someone else and put that smile in your heart and cherish it deeply. And then pay it forward. Give kindness in any of a billion different ways to others. When we give love, that love comes back to us in greater amounts than we ever gave. And of course, if you look around and you can't find any goodness, well, you're not looking hard enough, first of all. That's a fact. But if you look around and you can't find any goodness, well, then you can create your own. Create goodness. Find ways to enrich others when we give love and kindness and understanding. All of that comes back to us in greater amounts than we ever gave. Let's make today and every day a great day. All right, so you know who's not making every day a great day for me, at least, as well as countless other Yankee fans, I'm sure. It's the New York Yankees. It seems that there's a pattern, and it seems this pattern happens every single year. The Yankees, they make a splashy move. They promise more are coming. And then they do nothing. 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 The Yankees have done nothing now for well over a month. They really don't have a backup catcher at this point. I love Austin Wells as the starting catcher. I think he's going to do fine. They picked up Paul Goldschmidt. I'm happy with that. Who's playing second base? Spring training's 3 weeks away. We still don't know who the second baseman will be. Anthony Volpe plays short. I'm okay with it. I hope he hits more. Who's playing third base? Spring training is 3 weeks away, and we still don't know who's playing third base. Your outfield will be Jason Dominguez, Cody Bellinger, Aaron Judge seems all set. I'm happy with the acquisition of Bellinger. I'm happy with Devin Williams in the bullpen. I'm happy with Max Fried added to the starting rotation. But who's the leadoff hitter on this team? How do you, as an organization that claims to be so smart and so cutting edge and all about winning, how do you, year after year after year, go into spring training with a host of question marks? This has been the Yankees' way. You can't deny it. No one can deny it. A few years ago, going without any left-handed hitters. We don't need left-handed hitters. A couple of years ago, going without certain outfielders. They had like Oswaldo Cabrera and Isaiah Kiner Falefa turned into outfielders. That's silly and ridiculous move that did not work. They haven't addressed third base in years. I mean, why, oh, why do they do this? And why, oh, why do they do this and expect to be taken seriously? Like, we know what we're doing. Remember 2 years ago, we're going to have organizational analysis and we're going to figure out where we're going wrong. And then nothing changes. They do this year after year. Now I know, and I'm writing this in an article that will appear next week sometime, Perspectives. I know some people are going to say Jazz Chisholm is a major league third baseman. And he did okay last year. He did fine. He was adequate. And if I were a fan of the Milwaukee Brewers or the Chicago White Sox, or the Kansas City Royals, or the Pittsburgh Pirates, or any number of other teams, I'd say, yeah, I'm okay with a guy being adequate. But this is the Yankees. I've said this ever since these podcasts began, ever since I started Start Spreading the News. And by the way, let's get that banner back up here. Check us out every single day. We have at least 3 brand new articles every single day. One at 6 a.m., one at 10 a.m., and one at 2 p.m. We've been doing this every single day since 2017. There isn't a site that's more respectful but honest, that doesn't sink in with gambling sites and other inappropriate things, and that stays clear of profanity and is a high-level, highbrow Yankee site while still being accessible to families. A place where if your kid goes on, they're not going to see things that are inappropriate. Start Spreading the News. Check it out. But I've been saying this on Start Spreading the News from the beginning. From the beginning. Like, you cannot expect the fans to continually believe in an organization that continually, year after year, leaves things unfinished. Now, the Yankees fooled me. They had me going. Hey, they get Cody Bellinger. Next thing you know, they got Paul Goldschmidt. Next thing you know, they got Devin Williams. Next thing you know, they got Max Fried. They're going crazy. Things are going great. I'm thrilled. And then they stopped. They do it every year. This year, though, I thought it was going to be different. I thought the fact that they lost in the World Series was going to make them say, you know what? No more half measures. We're going full in. And unfortunately, they haven't. Now, I said at the end of last season, heading into the postseason, I said if the Yankees build a quality team, I will buy a small Yankees season ticket package. I used to be a season ticket holder, I think until about 2012. It was in that time period, I've told this story before, but it was in that time period that Hal Steinbrenner kept talking about finances and how they have to keep things in order and how the Yankees need to watch every dime. They can't just spend. And it was at that time that my oldest of 3 sons was heading off to college with a $50,000 or $60,000 a year tuition. And I said to myself, Mr. Steinbrenner wants to watch his pennies. I think I should too. And I gave up my season tickets. And I was ready to get them this year because I really thought the Yankees were going to go all in. I have not bought the season tickets yet. I haven't bought them. And why haven't I bought them? I haven't bought them because I don't feel yet, and they're running out of time, that the Yankees are truly serious about building a quality team that has no apparent holes. And again, if I was the fan of the Brewers, I'd say, okay, I'll take an adequate player for third base. But this is the Yankees. They should be better than that. This is how they market themselves. We are the Yankees, baseball's most successful franchise, the winningest team. Except they haven't won in a long time. Derek Jeter is as relevant to the young fans today as Mickey Mantle, as Reggie Jackson, as Joe DiMaggio, as Babe Ruth or Lou Gehrig or Yogi Berra. Derek Jeter is as relevant to the young fan today as Wee Willie Keeler. Oh, he was great a long time ago when he played, but he has no relevance today. None. And the Yankees keep, bringing out all their old pennants and talking about how they're the winningest franchise, but they don't win. They went to the World Series last year. That was great. And then they got embarrassed by the Dodgers, who saw that they were not a fundamentals team, that they weren't a well-rounded team, that there were glaring holes. And they said, if we just hustle and play hard, we'll beat these guys because they don't hustle nor play hard. The end result was obvious. The Yankees made it to the World Series because they beat up on an American League that was weak. They got through it because they had weak competition. But once they finally faced a great team, they lost. And I really thought that the Yankees, Brian Cashman, Hal Steinbrenner, the Brain Trust, would look at all this and say, no more half measures. Let's go all in. That's the way the Yankees used to do it. But they didn't. They haven't, at least. And I don't have any season tickets as a result. And I don't mind. I was going to get them because if the Yankees were going to be all in, I was going to be all in, and I was going to spend some of my money to support the team. But they're not all in, so neither am I. At least now. Maybe tomorrow, if the Yankees pick up Alex Bregman or trade for Nolan Arenado and they actually have a real third baseman, I'd say, okay. They are serious. They do want to win. But right now, I don't really believe they're all that serious. I think they do just enough that they think will placate the fans, and then they stop. And I'm tired of it. I'll still love the Yankees. I'll still watch the games. Of course, I'll go to a couple games during the year. Of course. But I'm not going to go all in. I don't go all in till they go all in. Now, this idea that Jazz Chisholm is a good third baseman, I think is an insult to people who play third base. And I've gone through this a lot. We've talked about this a lot. And I think most people truly understand. There's this thing called the rule of 10,000, and basically people debate it back and forth, but the general concept, the general idea is sound. A person needs to spend 10,000 hours at a task in order to become a master at that task. If you want to be great at something, you need to put in the time. Obviously, practice makes perfect. All that does is put a time frame around that. 10,000 hours of purposeful practice. Now think about the typical major league third baseman. Someone who's been playing third base, not for a half a season and then maybe an off season. People keep saying, well, Chisholm's probably practicing lots of third base stuff this winter. Really? Do we really think he's practicing lots of third base stuff this winter? Maybe he is, but no one has any proof that he is. No one has any footage of Jazz Chisholm spending this entire offseason every single day going to somewhere and practicing all of the nuances of playing third base. People will say he's got a great arm, and he does. People will say he's got good reactions, and he does. And that can help him be adequate at third base. But in order to become a really good third baseman, one who, if you're building a championship team, you'd want to have a really good third baseman, not an adequate third baseman. If you're the Yankees, you want to have a third baseman who is a third baseman. And in order to be that, you need to spend, let's just make that number, use that number, 10,000 hours. And there's no way that Jazz Chisholm has 10,000 hours of practice learning third base. When to play even with the bag, when to charge, when to play in, when to play back, when to shift just a little bit to the left, when to shift just a little bit to the right. Where to stand on a cutoff in the corner in left field, where to stand on a cutoff in the corner in right field. Where do you go with men on first and second and 2 outs and a tie game in the 9th inning? When do you serve as the cutoff man? When do you hold the bag? I mean, there's so many nuances to every single position that to expect any player, no matter how talented, to become not good enough to play on your softball team third base, but to be a terrific major league third baseman defensively in all aspects of the game, and to figure that out in less than a year is just, it's an impossible task. It's not possible. It's not realistic. It's not real. And I know what's going to happen. People who are wise guys, because I say this all the time, every time Jazz Chisholm makes a diving catch or charges a bunt and barehands it and throws a guy out, they're like, oh, see, he can do it. Guess he figured it out. And I'm not saying he's not going to do a good job. I'm not saying he's not going to be adequate. But the Yankees should be expecting better than adequate. The fans should be expecting, and the Yankees should be demanding. They shouldn't be going into spring training saying, he was okay last year. It kind of worked. Because there were times when he made some great plays, but there were other times when it was clear he didn't really quite understand what to do. And that's the difference between a team that wins games and a team that loses games. And as the Yankees sit here year after year without any left-handed pitching in the bullpen, without a leadoff hitter, without a backup catcher, without a real live third baseman, You see the other team on the other coast, who they played in the World Series, the Dodgers, going out and signing everybody. They're saying, hey, we have a hole. We want that player. We're going to get him. You cannot look at the Dodgers and you cannot look at the Yankees and say they are both equally committed to winning. They're not. The Yankees are committed to being really, 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 really good. The Dodgers are committed to being the best. The Yankees want to get to the playoffs and hope for the best. The Dodgers want to win the World Series. The Yankees used to operate the way the Dodgers operate today. They no longer do. Now, someday when their careers are over, Brian Cashman is going to have to look back and say, for decades, the Yankees didn't win under my leadership. That's just the fact. Someday, Hal Steinbrenner is going to be no longer the owner of the Yankees. It'll pass on to somebody else in 5 years, and 10 years, and 20 years, and 30 years. And Hal will have to look back and go, for decades, I couldn't get a winner. I had, as his father called it, the Mona Lisa, and I didn't treat it as a priceless work of art. I put a lousy frame around it. I shoved it in a corner in the basement. Some years I try to, dust it off and make it look real good and get just the right lighting around it. But most often I really skimped on the things that matter. I didn't really take care of it the way I should. And it's not as nice. It's not as impressive as when I took over. And that's the legacy for these guys. Good enough is not ever. Good enough never is. Words I've lived my life by. The Yankees should be always and unequivocally about being the best, like the Dodgers are doing. Now, real quickly about the Ichiro non-vote. I wrote an article about this. A lot of people have disagreed with me, saying it's not a story. Well, it is a story. He missed being unanimous by one vote. That's a story. He had his press conference at the Hall of Fame the other day, and of course, he was asked about it. For the rest of his life, when people bring up the Hall of Fame, people are going to ask Ichiro Suzuki, as they do Derek Jeter, what is it like to miss out on the Hall of Fame by one vote? Now, if you want to say to a player, what's it like to miss out on a batting title, or having a lifetime 300 batting average, or hitting some type of a mark? Or how does it feel to be part of the team that lost the World Series? Well, that's partially your own doing. But none of this has anything to do with Derek Jeter or Ichiro Suzuki. This has to do with rogue writers, maybe the same person, who, for whatever reason, looked at their body of work and said, that's not a Hall of Famer. I think there are 9 or 10 people on that ballot more worthy than Derek Jeter or Ichiro Suzuki. And here, again, to be very clear, is where the problem with this lies. In order to get a Hall of Fame vote, I'm reading it here on the Baseball Writers Association of America. It says, writers who have been active members in the BBWAA for at least 10 consecutive seasons are eligible to vote for the Hall of Fame. Writers may remain eligible for voting for up to 10 years after they're no longer active. But there is that 10-year requirement. In those 10 years, if you're a baseball writer, you have asked countless people associated with the game to go on record and back up decisions they have made. You've put your microphone in their face or your tape recorder, or you've had your pad and you're writing what that person said. And they have the power of the media, meaning that if the person doesn't ask, they will then write that. We asked the owner what he felt about the situation, and the owner refused to comment. And whenever they write something like that, that's always a negative. It's always a negative. How dare they not talk to me? I'm the writer. And this person has written articles and has gotten paid and expects to get paid and has made a living having opinions about baseball. And now the shoe is on the other foot. That person needs to explain why we should take that person seriously as a writer when they look at the combined body of work that Ichiro Suzuki established, that he performed at for his entire major league career, and said, yeah, that's not a Hall of Famer. Read my article tomorrow because I know what I'm talking about. No. You can't have it both ways, writer. If you don't think Ichiro is a Hall of Famer, explain to us why. But to hide after you've expected other people to answer for what they did. Why did you bunt? Did you do steroids? How do you feel about X? You've made your living expecting other people to answer your questions. And now we're asking you, why didn't you vote for Ichiro? Just tell us. We don't have to agree, but I think we deserve an answer. But more than that, Ichiro deserves an answer. And Derek Jeter, when it happened to him, deserves an answer. Because for the rest of their lives, for something they had no part in, they have to answer the question for a ridiculous decision that a writer made. And I know people are arguing, well, the writer didn't know he'd be the only person. Well, they had to know they'd be one of the very few. Everyone was talking about it. Will Ichiro be unanimous? You have to live under a rock not to know that that was a discussion point for years. Same with Jeter, ever since Mariano Rivera went in unanimously. It's always going to be a story. It will be a story when Albert Pujols comes up. True greats will always have that question around them. And if you're not going to vote for them, well, then just explain it. I didn't think his WAR was high enough. I'm not a fan of letting someone in on their first year. There were other people on the ballot who I wanted to vote for so they wouldn't fall off the ballot. They can't say that they were unaware, because if they say they were unaware, then they shouldn't have a Hall of Fame vote. Because that means they know nothing about the discussions about the Hall of Fame and the baseball and baseball in general as it relates to that at this time. But the hypocrisy is, this is a person who expected others to go on the record time after time after time. And then when that person makes a big decision that people are talking about, they remain silent. It's wrong. It just is. And I'm not wrong about this. I'm 1 billion% correct. And that brings us to the bottom of the hour. Time goes much too quickly. I have some grandchildren to play with, so I'm going to go play with them and smile a lot. Have yourselves a wonderful day. Let's go Yankees. Hopefully they go out and get a player, please, to play third base. Have a great day.